Good morning, Facebook. Christopher Hart here from Transforming Lives Coaching and Consulting. And we're coming to you live from beautiful Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I am out at the Market Commons this morning. It's a little windy, as you can see from the flags in the background. So if the winds blow up a little bit and it gets a little noisy on this video, I do apologize. We're having a beautiful autumn day here. So bear with me, we'll get through this, and we've got some great stuff to share with you today. Today we're going to talk about the 5 levels of leadership. And 5 levels of leadership is nothing more than a model that I use to master leadership in my own life, in my own journey. And I also use it as a model and process for others to utilize in their leadership journeys, whether it's in their business, it's in their life, relationships, whatever part of their life that they're looking to implement leadership in. So yesterday we shared with you, we defined what leadership is, right? And we talked about leadership is influence. John Maxwell says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so along those lines, we looked at what exactly is influence. And we discussed that influence, by definition, is the power to affect one's character or actions. And we dug into that a little bit, and we looked at, when we talk about affecting one's character and actions, it comes in 2 respects. One, in our own actions, and how our actions can become the model for other people to follow. The second is our words, right? And it's not so much the individual words that we use as it is collectively in conversations and the conversations that we have with those that we lead, right? If we find ourselves in a leadership situation, business, life, relationships, etc., what are the conversations that we're having with people, and what are those conversations framed around? And what they're framed around is helping people get what they want when they want it. So initially your conversations need to be about understanding what people want. And then, the journey of helping them get what they want, your conversations are framed around what their goals are and when they want to achieve them, their timeline, et cetera, et cetera. So we looked at that piece yesterday, and we're going to dig into that more in future videos. So that I believe just allows the setting of the framework and the foundation for your leadership journey, just to understand that piece first. And so today we're going to look at the 5 levels of leadership. And like I said yesterday, there's all sorts of shapes, sizes, and colors that leadership shows up in. Everybody's got their model, and what I'm going to share with you today is my model. So let's take a look at that. When we look at the 5 levels of leadership, so if you have a pen and paper, you might want to write this down. If you don't, just listen up, and you can always watch the video a second time. But I believe this is something that you're going to want to capture, resort back to, because it is going to be the framework of your journey if you see any value in this. So the first level of leadership is to be a great follower, right? We believe that in order for you to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower first. Follower of something great, something or someone great. And reason being is because you can't expect people to be something that you can't, right? That's first and foremost. If you can't be a great follower, you can't expect your people to be great followers. But more so than that, what we look at is by being a great follower of something or someone great, that establishes the model by which you're going to resort back to in times of unknown, times of stress, or just in the pinch leadership decision-making process. You always hear people say, like, what would Jesus do? Right? That right there is the framework for being a great follower, because you're resorting back to what you view as a great leader and what would they do in those particular moments. Okay, so level 1, leadership, the absolute very foundation, I think there's nothing that comes before it, is to be a great follower. You have to follow something or someone great for 2 reasons. 1, you can't expect your people to do that which you're not able or willing to do. And 2, it's going to be the framework by which you resort back to and make your decision-making processes. Because here's the thing about leadership. It's not X plus Y. It's not formulaic. It's not X plus Y equals Z. Do this and that and you get this. It's a journey. It's a journey of failures. It's a journey of successes. And it's a massive learning curve journey. And if you have that something or someone great to resort back to model off of, I believe that's going to drastically reduce your failures and allow you to just make better decisions along the way. So level 2, what's level 2? Level 2 is to lead thyself. I think one of the biggest failures that many leaders have in their leadership journey is they don't have their own stuff tight, per se. They go into leadership, they have their own issues, and they want to stand up and tell people what to do or attempt to influence them. And people look at them and they go, why should I follow you? Right? Like, you're not even disciplined in your own respect. And so that kind of ties back to what we talked about in the last video about our actions, right? Like, our actions are very important in the journey of leadership because, for instance, like real estate agents out there, if you're not willing to get up and lead generate in your business, why should your people? Right? And I'm not saying that you always have to be out there lead generating for, listings or buyers or whatever industry that you're in, but let's just say you're growing an organization. You know you need to be lead generating for talent every day. And if you're not doing that, why should your people? Okay, so level 2 leadership is all about lead thyself. You have to be able to influence your own character. You have to be able to influence your own actions, because once again, if you can't do that, how are you going to impart that on other people? How are you going to expect that of other people? How are you going to influence other people's actions? How are you going to influence their character if you can't even do it to yourself? Right? And I'll tell you, there's a number of different ways that this shows up. And, a lot of times when I dig into this, it tends to step on people's toes. And, I look at that as a good thing. They may look at that as, a not so good thing. But I won't get into that in this video. If you want to talk about that offline, I'll be glad to do so. But there's a number of different ways that we as leaders can show up better, right? And I believe this journey of leadership has to do with wanting to become the best version of yourself. And if there's an area of your life that you're neglecting, then that's the area that you need to learn to lead thyself. Don't think showing up and being a leader in business and then having areas of your life, your own health, your own fitness, your own relationships, if those are all a mess, you can't just be a leader in your business, right? Leadership is holistic. It's about all parts, all sums, right? So if you're going to show up and say, hey, I've got this great team and, my relationships are a mess, and that tends to happen a lot in real estate, and especially in the sales world. All right, so if you're going to show up in business and tell people what to do or look to influence them, and those areas of your life are severely lacking, then that's where you need to focus. You need to focus your leadership journey on lead thyself, okay? And we're going to dig into this more along the way, but this is just to give you a broad overview of how you start to navigate this journey of leadership. Level 3 is lead another, okay? And this doesn't necessarily show up in, oh, I have a business and I have one person that I lead. This is kind of lead another in the realm of leading someone one-on-one, right? You may have a business where you lead 15, 20, 50 people, 100 people. But it's how do you lead them in a one-on-one experience? Shows up in your relationships, right? If you have a spouse, a partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you have in your life, that is an area in which level 3 leadership shows up. Lead another. How do you influence that person? How do you help them become a better person through their actions, becoming a better person in their character, helping them achieve their goals, right? Relationships, it's very important. And how do you support and influence that person? Not telling them what to do, but how do your actions, how does your character, how does your conversations with that individual help them become a better person and move them forward and closer to their goals? So level 3 leadership, it's about in that one-on-one experience, lead another. Level 4 leadership is lead others. How do we influence the character and actions of others in a mass? Okay, it could be 2, it could be 200, it could be 2,000, it can be 10,000. Right? There's a lot of people out there that I speak to, and they want to be motivational speakers, they want to be educators, they want to get up in front of a room and they want to influence the character and actions of others. Okay, and that's what you're looking at. If you have an organization, let's say you have a real estate team, maybe you have 5 or 6 people. How do you collectively influence the actions and the characters of all those people? And what does that look like? Hey, if you go to a conference for a weekend, maybe you're gone for 3, 4, 5, 7 days. What are those people doing while you're gone? If you come back and they did nothing, then I think that identifies the fact that you need to work on how do you lead the masses. If you're in your organization and you can't do what you're supposed to be doing and focusing on day in and day out because you have to quote unquote babysit, right? You have to micromanage your people as a whole, then you need to focus on the level 4 leadership, which is lead others. And there's some foundational elements that really help leaders out with that, right? How do we build a mission and a vision for our leadership? Not just our organization, but for our leadership. Because that's what the masses are going to buy into. They're going to buy into your leadership vision. They're going to buy into your leadership mission. They're going to buy into what you value. They're going to buy into what you believe. And through your actions and your conversations, people should show up in your organization and do what they know they need to do because it's something that they want to do, not because it's something that you tell them they have to do. And that's where I see a lot of leaders struggle, is that when they leave to go out of town or their focus is somewhere other than, direct influence on them day in and day out, their people stop doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's all reflective of that level 4 leadership of lead others. Okay, and so level 5, what I call, which is the pinnacle, if you're going to look at levels, moving upward to, if you want to use like a pyramid per se, the pinnacle is how do you lead leaders? So for instance, how do you create subordinate leaders who are going to go out there and lead other people in your organization, in your business, in your life, etc.? Okay, so if you want to look at it as your organization, every organization needs to grow. If you have any vision of growing a organization greater than just being, small little mom and pop shop, you need subordinate leaders. And so all these elements that we're focusing on of, be a great follower, if you're going to lead people and you're going to impart this model on them to be a great follower, who are they following? Are they following you? And if they're not following you, who are they following? Right? So that's why that part of this journey of being a great leader is important, because if you're going to look to be a pinnacle leader one day of leading other people, then you want them, their level 1 leadership, to be following you. Okay? If you're looking at it in relationships, if you have children, guess what? You need to lead them so one day they'll lead other people. Because here's the reality of life. You're either leading people or you're following someone else. You're either leading or you're being led. And I would hope that as parents, you endeavor for your children to lead other people. And if not, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's neither right nor wrong. It just is what it is. But if you have any aspirations of your children to be leaders, well, that's how pinnacle leadership level 5 shows up in your life and in your relationships, is how do you teach your people to lead through those 4 levels of being a great follower, how to lead thyself, how to be the best version of themselves, how to lead other people so that when they're absent of their environment, those people are still forging forward and doing what they're supposed to be doing, because they understand and recognize what they're doing is helping them achieve the goals that they want to achieve, and in turn, you as the leader succeed as well and achieve through them. We call that success through people. And so what we look at in this level 5 leadership is how do we use this process and model to grow people below us that are going to grow people below them that are eventually going to push us up and create massive organizations or create massive lives. Again, whether it's, a business, whether it's your own life, church organizations, all these fundamental processes of leadership and the 5 levels of leadership, they're applicable to every area of your life. So this broad overview, we're going to endeavor into this and really dig into this in future videos. And what you'll notice, is that we'll touch back on this as we start looking at some other topics. So interested in hearing what your ahas or what anything of value that you learned of how you can apply it to your life, just go ahead and put it in the comment sections below. If I can help you with anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You can private message me, or you can email me at chris@transforminglivescoaching.com. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Lead strong. Just know God loves you, so do I, and have a blessed rest of your day. Take care.